Okay, let's talk about my ride or die, my number one, my 2004 Gretsch White Falcon. What's the number on this one? A G6136T, if you're keeping score in your Gretsch model numbers, which are the most confusing and most annoying thing about Gretsches. I will say this about Gretsches. To me, Gretsches are like the Mopar of the guitar world. They're kind of like your Gibsons and your Fenders. They're American company, but they always had their quirks that were a little bit different from everybody else's. So today, this isn't really a review. This is more of me rambling on about the guitar that I got way back in, when did I get this? 2006, I believe, is when I got this. So today we're going to talk about why I love this guitar, why it's my favorite guitar of all times. It was my dream guitar, how I got it. And then I'm going to give you some tips, because I see a lot of people who get a hollow body who freak out about things like the Bigsby or the fact that the bridges are not connected to the body. Now, a lot of people pin them. We'll talk about in a second. I don't bother with that on mine. So anyway, how did I get this guitar? Well, hey, sneaking in here, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying what you're seeing. I do tons of rockabilly, rock and roll lessons and gear. We're just out here having fun, so don't forget to do that if you want to. Okay. My band, which was called Turbo 350, had just moved from Memphis the year before, and I had just gotten done. What had we done? Maybe we'd played a gig downtown. Anyway, our truck got broken into and one of my guitars got stolen. So lucky for us, my roommate at the time had insurance, and so we got some money back. And so I used that insurance money plus a little bit more money that I had, and we went to Ray Hennings, rest in peace, it's not over there anymore, in Austin. Ray Hennings, the heart of Texas music, where Stevie Ray Vaughan got his stuff and everything. And they had this Gretsch White Falcon on the wall, and I got it. It was my dream guitar. I'd always wanted one, and so I played this guitar in every bar and crappy punk rock club between here, Houston, Dallas, all over the state, and then it kind of went everywhere with me. So yeah, it's the number one guitar that would come with me. If the house caught on fire, I would of course get my family out, but then the next thing I'm getting is this guy. So, like I said, this isn't going to be a demo on the model. There's thousands of those you can get it. Like this one's from 2004, so it's not like it's one you would buy off the shelf now. And I've done some modifications. So let's talk about it just a little bit, and then I'll play it a little bit, and we'll go from there. I'll give you some tips on how to make sure these things stay in tune and how to play them. So first thing and the best part is the headstock, right? So these Gretsch White Falcons with the vertical headstock. Now, you'll notice on modern ones, when you get the guitar with the vertical headstock and these block inlays, it usually has Dynasonics or single coils. So this guitar is from 2004, which is right after Gretsch had kind of made a deal with Fender to help them distribute, and they started changing the specs to a much more vintage correct, if you will. So this guitar was one of the last ones to come with block inlays with these, if you can see them, there's wings on them, which are very gaudy but also awesome. And the vertical headstock with the Filtertrons, which is what I wanted. I wanted a Filtertron guitar. I'm super into Brian Setzer and all that, of course, as you would be, Reverend Horton Heat and some of those guys. So this one was one of the last years that you could get Filtertrons with this headstock. So, I mean, the White Falcons are super gaudy. I mean, I love the gold sparkle binding on it. I always liked. Chris Chaney of The Living End played one of these, who I was a fan of. The only thing I've never changed, what I wish I probably would if I was still gigging, was it still has these Imperial tuners on it. Here, let me see those. So they're not the greatest tuners in the world, but they get the job done. This one, so let's see, what have I done to it since then? So I put this V-style Bigsby on it. So I also have a 6120 from like 1999. I liked the Bigsby on it better. I liked the spring and everything, and I think the V looks cooler. So I took it off of my 6120, put it on this one, and then I took that Bigsby and put it on the 6120. Maybe I'll do a video in it someday. And then eventually I changed out these pickups, okay? So I have a TV Jones Classic Filtertron in the neck. And in the bridge, I have a Classic Plus, which just kind of gives you a little extra, little extra oomph. It's really great. Now, if you're not familiar with Gretsch's, these guitars have some sort of unusual controls. This one, so you have volumes down here, 2 volumes. So this volume knob works for the neck. This volume knob is for the bridge. And then you have a master volume, which I always liked. Yeah, I've lost a couple of the rubies in the knobs over the years, but whatever. And then it has a tone or a mud switch. So let's see here. You got this switch here, which just chooses your pickups, right? So we're on the neck. Still got a great sound. Oh, where was I? So yeah, so the mud switch. So if you flip it up, so let's do this. So here it is in the middle, which is off. Now if I flip it up, and then so it can rolls off some of the high, and then I think if you go down, it's even more. Yeah, so it's like a tone knob, but you just get 2 settings instead of a knob. And I've never really liked tone knobs. It kind of just is like, oh, this sounds great. Would I like to put a blanket over it? Sure, why not? Now, I'm sure there's someone out there who loves the tone switch. You could probably go in there and change capacitors if you wanted or something, but I don't want to do that. It's good the way it is. I've already modified this thing as much as possible. Oh, one more thing. I bought a long time ago, I put a bar bridge on it here. So it's just, there's nothing special about it. But this is a true arc, and I believe this is the aluminum one. Yeah, because my stainless steel is on the 6120. Anyway, so let's talk about, since we're already talking about the bridge, let's talk about these things. So this bridge is not glued or connected to the body. So if I take all these strings off, the bridge would just fall off, okay? So you might be asking yourself, why in the heck wouldn't you just connect it? A couple of reasons. I really like these rocking bar bridges. I think they sound fantastic. Now, you could go with a Tune-o-matic. There's tons of different types of bridges you can use. But I like the rocking bar bridge. They make, just your standard Tune-o-matic. They make a roller bridge version that was on the 90s Gretches that came on my 6120. I hated it. It buzzed a punch, so I got rid of that pretty quickly personally. Now there's tons of people that like them, and that's great. But for me, I just like the simple bar bridge. Okay, so now you're gonna ask yourself, okay, that's great and all that, it sounds good, but how do you intonate that bridge? Well, it's really not that hard. So here's the first thing. So if you're changing strings, change 1 string at a time so this thing doesn't fly off, okay? And it'll also help you with the Bigsby. So that's step 1. So if you're gonna intonate this, what I actually do is I work to get the A string and the B string intonated, right? So intonation, right, is when you might hit the 12th harmonic, and then you hit that same note on the 12th fret, and you try to move this bridge to get it as close as you can to having the same note so that you play in tune all the way up. Now what I've found is that if you kind of use the A and the B, everything kind of gets in there. It's not going to be perfect, and that's fine. I mean, Telecasters have the same thing a little bit also. So your intonation, you're just going to take this bridge and adjust it. Now, I could pull on this, but I have to pull on it pretty hard to get it to move around. So if you're worried about it and you're like, hey, I hit really hard, I'm going to knock that thing around. One, you might be hitting it too hard. That's fine. Two, you're probably worried more than you need to be. I used to play pretty hard also, and I was able to get it to work. But I think as long as you're not using like 9s or 8s on this guitar, you should be okay. One thing that's different about a White Falcon than some of the other models is this has a 25.5-inch scale, more like a Fender, where a lot of the other Gretsches have the shorter, more Gibson, what is that, 24 3/4 scale. So like on this guitar, I put 10 through 46s on it, nothing crazy. Now, as you start to use wider or weirder gauges, maybe like at one point I was trying to use, I think 10 through 52s, this bridge is going to really start, you're going to start to notice it moving, the angle being steeper, because if you're thicker here, you know, the thicker the string, the farther back you want this touch point, and the thinner string there. So, right, so if this is a 10 and this is a 46, it's here. If I go fatter up here, well, it's just a matter of, I'm gonna have to shift this back a little bit more. So I think if you're using a standard set, something like a standard 10s, 11s, 12s, I wouldn't go more than 12, but you do what you want. I think you're gonna be okay. It'll intonate pretty well. And the force of these strings will hold it down. So I would recommend trying it. Don't be afraid to shift it around and work on it till you can get your intonation correct. If you really must pin it, you can. I would wait a while till you know for sure you're not really going to change string gauges. That's another thing. If you're using one of these bar bridges, if I change my string gauge, I'm going to have to move this around. So I don't like to pin them. Some people do, and that's cool. Or they tape them down, whatever. I saw a guy that had gaffer's tape over it here and here. So you could do that. It doesn't look great, but whatever. So what else? Let's talk about the Bigsby and keeping this thing in tune, right? Okay, so keeping these Bigsbys in tune. So the first thing I would say is make sure you're coming straight over the Bigsby. The times I've seen someone where the string is kind of cocked over to the side and then it rolls, and then when you hit it, this string shifts back and forth. I've seen it a ton of times. So make sure your strings kind of come straight over and across the bridge. So that's one tip I would give you there. So another thing, I mean, you're not Eddie Van Halen. Now you can do some pretty good bends. I mean, you can get but it's not going to be like a Floyd Rose or anything, right? Usually you're just kind of, you know, so kind of go not easy on it, but you're not going to be doing dive bombs with this thing, right? So another really important thing is a good nut. I use a little bit of the nut sauce on here, but if your nut isn't cut well, it's not going to help. So I would say most times if somebody is having a problem with the tuning on their Bigsby, their strings aren't really lined up very well down here, and maybe they've got some problems up here in the nut that needs to be fixed. I've played this guitar forever. Don't have a lot of trouble with the tuning. Yeah, I love this guitar. It's super cool. It's been with me through tons of stuff. It's all scratched up. This one was made in Japan, like I said, 2004, and it's just a killer guitar, and I love it. So if you ever have a chance and you play Gretches, they're really cool. They have really flat radiuses on them. I've started playing a little more tellies and stuff, and so it's really weird getting used to that. But I mean, they're great guitars. You can actually get some pretty good action on these things. And I think the Filtertrons are just an underrated pickup. You can actually get a little bit of twang. Here's the second position. And then the bridge. bridge. So yeah, they're great pickups. I kind of want a telly with some Filtertrons in it now that I'm playing this thing again. And some of your coolest heroes play them, right? Setzer, all those guys. So that is my 2004 Gretsch White Falcon. I love it. It's my ride and die, as I've said already 15 times. I never thought I would get a guitar like this, and then I got it, and I've just played the wheels off of it. So 10 out of 10. If you have the means, I highly recommend them. Thanks for watching. Hit the buttons below if you want to subscribe. You guys know how that works. And tell me what you think about these Gretsch guitars. What are some quirky guitars? What's your #1 ride or die guitar that you will never part with? Tell me what that is. Tell me some lessons or some things you would like to know. I've been doing a lot of gear lately, but I think I'm gonna try to get back into some lessons, but I'm just trying to organize my thoughts for those. Anyway, thanks again, and make sure you keep playing, all right, guys?
Yeah.